I've been doing a little bit of data mining and looking over the assets of Blasphemous, and today I thought I'd share some of its findings. I extracted the audio from the game's bank files, and I found some audio that's unused. Whether it's been cut from the game altogether or is being used for the DLC is on a file-by-file basis. I do want to give a few disclaimers before I actually start showing these off, though. Obviously, there are spoilers ahead, so if you don't want Wounds of Eventide or any other part of the game to be spoiled, you might not want to keep watching. If you haven't played it for yourself, I'd highly recommend it. It's a really beautiful game. Additionally, while I've played through the game a few times, there's a chance I missed or simply forgot about a piece of audio that's already present in-game. I wanted to double check on the wiki, but both the fandom and Factual Life wikis have incomplete information. With that preamble out of the way, I'm going to start out with some unused voice files I found. What is interesting is, for the most part, they're made using text-to-speech. I'm guessing they're just placeholder assets until they can get the actual voice actors to come in and do their lines, but regardless, some of them hold really interesting implications for the game's lore and story. I've attributed certain text-to-speech lines to certain characters because they were alongside the characters' properly voiced lines in a list of extracted files. So starting off, we have Cleophas.
Is this proof that she will continue guarding us from her new resting place?
The same affliction that in the past bestowed her with such sorrowful and miraculous favour has given birth to a new, terrible outbreak. Now she will not be able to shield the rest from the anguish of the blood. Is this the punishment for so many years of holiness?
And then we have some Crisanta lines.
Stop your path. The turned throne must not be disturbed. Put an end to the pain of my body if it pleases you, for my soul already hurts. Do not go up to the ashes, nor come near the sudden throne. Penitent one, there is no possible forgiveness for you.
And we have a bunch of cut Diostato lines.
This is the rustiest key I possess. It has long since jangled with the rest. Carry it with you to regions of darkness.
Oh, that key of yours that you are carrying. It opens a door that was veiled in ancient illusions many eons ago. Beware of what sleeps there. The door awaits thee. Be careful of what sleeps beyond. The visage. At times, during the most profound silences, you can hear the gold melting within the rock, within the very roots.
This dialogue references an item you can get by using console commands called Key Grown from Twisted Wood. It seems that Diostato was meant to do this item once fulfilling his quest. I always thought his questline and character felt a little lacking, so having this additional dialogue as well as the item's lore description helps flesh him out a bit more. I also found the asset for the door mentioned in the item description, so I'll show that to you as well. We have one cut line from the High Wills.
Our miracle has chosen me amongst all the peers, just as it chose you, to walk on this sacred sea.
This could be from the fourth High Will that's in prison, but without further context, it's hard to say. We also have a cut Yosinero line.
If you feel yourself ready, do you wish to be sent the dream's reverse?
I'm really not sure what the Dreams verse may be referencing, but it could be something to do with the sea in the upcoming DLC. We also have some Laude lines.
Penitent one, free me from this false virtue. Free me from this false death. Rest now alongside the broken reflection of my tomb. Die and come back to me when our miracle has returned you.
It seems like her last few lines were things she could have said upon the player's death. The latter of which is interesting because it essentially confirms that it is the miracle which brings the penitent one back after each death. This is interesting to me because it makes the intentions of the miracle a lot more complex. In some ways, it seems to be hindering the penitent one in their quest to reach the cradle of fiction. In others, such as this, it seems to be rather explicitly assisting them. Now, this is just an off-the-cuff theory, but since we know there's a fourth High Will given other unreleased content who was imprisoned for their supposed treachery, could that fourth High Will still potentially hold some influence or power over the miracle? Perhaps that could explain the blessings they bestow upon the penitent one. Perhaps they're doing that in order to be freed. We have a decent amount of cut lines from the Blessed Lord of Salty Shores as well.
I feel something emptying inside of me. I feel respite coming. It's close. My fate slumbered, lost in the labyrinths of the miracle, and now it's presenting itself to me. The miracle is leaving me forever. This shall be the last time you show yourself to me. Whatever it is you might find in my place, it will not be me. I depart now to the place of blessings and endless processions.
I'm hoping that we'll get a complete questline for him in the DLC, like this dialogue seems to imply. We also have some lines from Viridiana.
I do not have the right to judge your actions, penitent one. To your burden you have added arduous weight. The ways of the grievous miracle are like its own roots, at times alive and mendacious, at times withered and silent. The affliction is corrupting itself.
Some of her dialogue is difficult to make out given how the TTS voice slurs work together. That being said, I think these lines might be some of the most compelling, especially when she describes the miracle as mendacious, meaning not telling the truth or lying. Some custodians seem to be more aware of the nature of the miracle and bringing it into question on a few different occasions. I just find it interesting that some people question such a pervasive, physically present force, not the reality of it, but where it comes from and its purpose in their lives. The affliction is corrupting itself, in my opinion, gives some credence to a theory I've had for a while, that the miracle is, in some way, a force perpetuated by Custodia's belief in it, like an egregore. An egregore is a thought form which is created either consciously or subconsciously by a group of people who share a common motivation or belief. Also, considering a few of the developers like Berserk, the cosmology of which contains the idea of evil, which is a similar egregore-like being, I wouldn't be surprised if there was some inspiration there. Lastly, we have a text-to-speech file, and I really don't know who this could be attributed to.
Why, Father?
This is the first line on the list, and subsequently I have no clue who it is meant to be attributed to, what the context might be, or anything else for that matter. Moving on, here are some clips of Isidora singing, which, if I remember correctly, can be heard in Rosher's video showcasing the unfinished Moving on, here are some clips of Isidora singing, which, if I remember correctly, can be heard in Rosher's video showcasing the unfinished boss battle with Isidora. And finally, we have some unused soundtracks. The music for Perpetua's Tomb seems to be complete. There's also this background track called Penitent Altar. Lastly, there are around 50 sound clips that will eventually compose Isidora's boss theme. I skipped around a bit because it is 6 minutes long. Here are some choral parts of the song, though. So there are a decent amount of duplicates, and then there are some in lower registers, which I assume will be so that it harmonizes and sounds very good and cool. there's two files called Phase 2 and Phase 2 Chorus. So presumably the music changes when she enters her second phase. I love how consistent the singing is with the lore that we already know of her, given item descriptions. And I also love that her singing is going to be part of the actual boss fight. That wraps up everything I found in the audio files. I'd like to release everything on Google Drive for other people to enjoy, but I'm unsure of the legality of that, so it's something I'll look into before I do that. I plan on continuing to dig into the game files. Currently, I'm looking for in-game text, such as subtitles and item descriptions, but I'm having trouble actually reading anything in DNSpy. If I find anything of interest, I'll be sure to make another video covering it. Additionally, I plan on making some videos discussing the lore and smaller details of the game in the future. I haven't been this captivated by the story and world building of the game since Bloodborne, and I'm excited to see what Wounds of Eventide brings us. With that, thanks for watching. If you want to see me ramble about lore in the future, consider subscribing. If you want to listen to me ramble about lore some more in the future, consider subscribing. Thanks.